Welcome back to Top 10 Mysteries. Today, our video will introduce you to the most dangerous jobs in the world. These professions not only require skill and strength, but can also lead to a transfer of life at any moment. Let's explore the terrifying realities these workers face, from diving underwater for pay that reaches up to $2,000 for each trip to changing a light bulb worth $20,000, which requires them to sign death waivers before proceeding. You might be surprised to learn that guarding lighthouses or transforming into mermaids is not as easy as it seems. So, what specific jobs are making people shudder, and how truly horrifying are they? Join Top 10 Mysteries in discovering this in our video, 9 Most Dangerous Jobs in the World. A job where you sign a life or death waiver. Imagine a job that pays $2,000 per dive, but first, you have to sign a life and death waiver. This is the reality for underwater divers who retrieve stuck drilling pipes, one of the most dangerous professions in the world. You've probably seen these divers wearing masks and hooked to safety ropes, but what you don't see is the murky water they dive into. It's nothing like the crystal clear sea. It's pitch black. From the surface, you can't see a thing, and the dive hole can be anywhere from 30 to 40 meters deep, sometimes even 60 meters. If the diver makes it back up safely, they walk away with $2,000 in hand. If not, they don't make it back at all. Wondering what they're even doing down there? Well, at large construction sites, there are massive drilling rigs used for creating deep foundations. Occasionally, these rigs malfunction and the drilling pipes get stuck. Some people might wonder how such huge pipes could get lost down there, but they do. This is where the experienced divers come in. They dive into deep, high-pressure holes to locate and secure these pipes, allowing the construction to continue. And no, they can't just drain the water. The murky liquid is actually a substance called bentonite, which keeps the walls of the drill hole intact. If they drain it, the hole would collapse, setting the whole operation back to square one. As for the divers, they're constantly risking their lives. There are numerous ways things can go wrong. Air pump failures, hose blockages, sinking into the mud at the bottom, a cracked diving helmet, or a torn suit. One mishap, and there's a 98% chance that the diver won't live to spend that $2,000. The remaining 2% might just leave the money for their spouse to use. Take, for example, Nguyen Van Giao from Vietnam. In November 2010, he tragically died when his breathing tube was cut off, leading to gas poisoning, and he became trapped in the drilling pipe, suffocating to death. Out of 100 divers who encounter serious issues, only about 2 make it back alive. That's why they sign waivers, so no one is held accountable for these fatal risks. Additionally, many divers die from failing to follow decompression rules. At depths beyond 30 meters, the water pressure is immense. If a diver resurfaces too quickly, they can suffer from decompression sickness, which causes their blood vessels to burst, leading to immediate death, or at best, leaving them in a vegetative state. Next up is a dream job for many, but it could leave you stranded in space at any moment. The reality of being an astronaut. Stranded in space, or worse. Becoming an astronaut is a dream job for many, but it comes with the terrifying possibility of being stranded in space forever, or even worse, dying up there. A total of 30 astronauts have lost their lives, showing just how risky this profession can be. Take, for instance, the Challenger shuttle disaster in January 1986, when the shuttle exploded just 73 seconds after launch due to sudden freezing temperatures. Or in February 2003, when the Columbia shuttle disintegrated upon re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Then there's the Soyuz 11 tragedy of 1971, where a faulty valve caused the deaths of all 3 crew members. At 168 kilometers above Earth, a deadly combination of a leaking valve and the vacuum of space rapidly sucked all the air out of the crew cabin, leading to suffocation from depressurization. Beyond these deadly incidents, astronauts also face bizarre health challenges. Just 2 weeks in, zero gravity causes muscle mass to drop by 20–30%, and astronauts can lose 1/10% of their bone density. It can take up to 4 years for their bones to recover after returning to Earth. Even the heart weakens due to changes in pressure and radiation exposure. To make matters worse, astronauts age decades in just 1 year in space. Some astronauts even had to remove their fingernails before heading to space. You might think, why not just cut them short? Well, trimmed nails can float around in the cabin, potentially scratching equipment or causing serious damage. And forget about cooking in space. In a zero-gravity environment, nothing stays in place. Everything floats, whether it's toothpaste or water. After brushing their teeth, astronauts even swallow the toothpaste because there's nowhere else for it to go.
So what I do?
As for food, forget about hot meals. Instead, astronauts rely on dry nutrition tablets, about the size of 3 fingers, similar to a dry ration bar. Imagine eating that for nearly 3 years. Russian astronaut Oleg Kononenko did, setting the record for the longest time spent in space at 878 days. Water, too, is a luxury. Every liter of water sent from Earth to the space station costs nearly $9,000. NASA spends over $20 million on water every year. And for all the hardship, astronauts start with a salary of around $60,000 per year, with experienced ones earning between $80,000 and $120,000. But even this doesn't compare to the next job, changing light bulbs, for a salary of up to $120,000. $20,000 to change a light bulb. Imagine earning $20,000 for simply changing a light bulb. The catch? You need to climb to the top of a 460-meter-high antenna tower to do it. This is definitely not a job for those afraid of heights. The man in the video is Kevin Schmidt, a professional tower climber. He specializes in building and dismantling antenna towers and, of course, scaling them for maintenance. Armed with a heavy tool bag and a safety harness, Kevin climbs these towers alone, attaching himself to the structure with carabiners to secure his life. It's really annoying to climb to the top and realize you forgot the light bulb at the bottom. The tower Kevin climbs in the video is the analog TV tower for KDLT, located in rural Salem, USA. It's a staggering 460 meters high. While climbing, the only way to keep calm is to look up. Glancing down could cause dizziness, shortness of breath, and the ever-present danger of high winds adds to the challenge. One wrong move, and a fall is inevitable. Yet Kevin manages to scale up to 8 different towers in a single day, and once spent 6 hours changing a single bulb, including the climb up and down. His daily earnings, equivalent to several years' wages for most people. These signal towers are no ordinary structures. They're built from metal beams, which become thinner and more dangerous the higher you go, often sharp enough to cut through the skin. The hazards are immense, so those who take on this line of work require a solid background, often needing an electrical engineering degree and specialized training. In the US, there are more than 10,000 professionals like Kevin who do this dangerous but lucrative job. Crab fishing in Alaska, one of the deadliest jobs. It may shock you, but working as an Alaskan crab fisherman has a fatality rate 26 times higher than other professions. But what makes this job so perilous, and why do people risk their lives to catch these crabs? Alaska's king crab is known for its pure, white, sweet, and firm meat, hidden beneath its rosy shell with a salty hint of the sea. At least that's what I've heard. I'm 30 years old, and still haven't had the chance to taste it myself. The unpredictable weather in the Bering Sea is a constant threat, with the most profitable fishing season taking place in fall and winter, right when storms and freezing cold become most dangerous. Waves as high as 9 meters, 30 feet, crash against the boats, winds whip at 111 km/h, 69 mph, and the fishermen work in near total darkness. Despite these risks, the crew suits up in wet, heavy gear, braving the elements as they secure 318-kilogram, 700-pound steel cages. Inside those cages are the prized Alaskan king crabs. But just because the cages are full doesn't mean it's time to celebrate yet. If not secured properly, these massive steel cages can swing violently in a storm and potentially drag a crew member overboard. In fact, around 12 professional fishermen die this way every year. Still, if luck is on your side, you can earn up to $100,000 in just a few months of work. Wait, pause for a second. As dangerous as crab fishing is, there's another group of people who risk their lives to capture those breathtaking scenes for us to watch. Can you guess who? That's right, the immortal cameramen. Filming the intense footage for shows like Deadliest Catch is no easy feat. This show, by the way, is as much of a gold mine as the king crab industry itself, drawing 3 million viewers each week in the US alone and airing in 150 countries. Only the most experienced filmmakers are chosen to venture to Alaska. They split into helicopters and small boats to film the fishing fleet as it leaves port. On each boat, there's typically one cameraman and one producer. The cold, damp air wreaks havoc on electronic equipment. No matter how waterproof the Sony HDV cameras are made, salt water seeps in and corrodes them. By the end of the fishing season, only a few of the 50 cameras used will still be operational. Even though the crew does everything to avoid direct contact with water, lenses still get fogged up or frozen. The extreme cold and rough seas toss the boats around, forcing the cameramen to keep their eyes on the camera, battling dizziness and frostbite. Even with LCD screens, accidents happen. Sprained ankles, cracked ribs, and broken bones from the relentless tossing of the ship. These cameramen often wake up earlier and go to bed later than the fishermen to capture every gritty detail of the fishing day. Fortunately, so far, no member of the filming crew has lost their life. Truly, these are the immortal cameramen. So, what do you think? Which job is more dangerous, being a fisherman or a cameraman? Limestone quarrying, a hidden danger in Egypt. And when you think of Egypt, the first thing that comes to mind is probably the image of the pyramids. But what most people don't know is that Egypt is also home to breathtaking limestone quarries, beautiful yet incredibly dangerous. These quarries are where workers extract the pure white limestone used for everything from floor tiles to concrete and glass. However, the picturesque landscape hides deadly hazards that quarry workers face every day. In these quarries, miners use massive saws to cut entire mountains into perfectly shaped limestone blocks, much like bricks. The noise is deafening. Engine is roaring, blades grinding into stone, and the workers can barely hear each other. They have to shout just to communicate. While machines do some of the work, much of it still relies on backbreaking manual labor. And under the scorching sun, with dust swirling everywhere, breathing becomes nearly impossible. Even with their faces covered by scarves and sunglasses to shield their eyes, it hardly helps. Tears stream down their faces, not from sadness, but from the dust that constantly irritates their eyes. Many workers end up developing lung diseases like pneumonia or even lung cancer. For all this, these workers are paid a mere $6 a day, which adds up to about $180 a month. Life expectancy for long-term workers is tragically short, rarely exceeding 45 years. They toil until late into the night. And because there is no proper lighting in the quarries, many accidents happen in the darkness. One quarry worker shared that at least 6 people had died in accidents during the 4 months he had been working there. The main culprits? Heavy machinery and the electrical systems that power the equipment. The risks don't stop there. Many quarry workers have lost limbs while working in these hazardous conditions. Men who were once the breadwinners of their families are suddenly disabled, their lives forever changed. While some are lucky enough to receive compensation, many others simply have to accept their fate in silence. Working in Egypt's limestone quarries is a deadly occupation that goes unnoticed by most of the world. But the danger these workers face is as real as the majestic stones they cut from the earth. The life of a lighthouse keeper, a dangerous watch over the seas. The primary purpose of a lighthouse is to warn ships to stay away from treacherous rocks during storms. If its light goes out, countless lives could be lost. But the person who watches over the lighthouse 24/7. They face the violent power of the ocean daily, with waves crashing against the tower at least a dozen times a day. Take the storm on December 21st, 1989, for example. A tropical depression brought fierce winds and 20-30-meter waves to the Irwaz Sea. The brutal waves shattered the lower windows of La Jument Lighthouse, broke down the main door, and flooded the inside of the tower. Located off the coast of France, La Jument is known as one of the most dangerous lighthouses in the world, standing alone in the middle of the sea. One famous photo of this lighthouse went viral, capturing the moment when a massive wave engulfed the tower. In the picture, the lighthouse keeper is waiting for rescue as the ocean fiercely swirls around him. Most people imagine that being a lighthouse keeper means sipping coffee while chilling with ocean views. But the hardest part of the job is during shift changes. Changing shifts requires a coordinated effort between boats and helicopters. All essential supplies are delivered via cable systems. The boat captain is under immense pressure to navigate the crashing waves. Even the change of personnel relies on this cable system. Once the new keeper is safely on the tower, the departing keeper descends. One wrong move, and they could be slammed into the tower, a fatal mistake. Lighthouse keepers can earn over $100,000 a year in some parts of the world. But would you apply for this job? Let me know in the comments below. Cleaning billion-dollar ships underwater. Marine organisms that attach to the submerged parts of ships cause paint and metal to degrade, increase weight, and create drag. This lowers fuel efficiency, increases costs, and harms the environment. That's where underwater cleaners come in. Divers who remove all that sea life and grime from the ship's hull. Typically, ships are taken to dry docks for cleaning, but that can cost a staggering $1.2 to $1.6 million and keep the vessel out of service for weeks. To avoid this huge expense, many ships are now cleaned underwater. However, this process is far from simple. There's no direct way to resurface, and dangers arise if the tide suddenly shifts or the ship moves unexpectedly. On top of that, if the oxygen supply equipment fails or the diver experiences a health issue, they could meet a grim fate, trapped beneath the water with no way out. With advancing technology, though, robots are starting to take over the job. Enter Hull Skater, a 200-kilogram magnetic robot designed to clean ships while they remain docked. It's remotely controlled via a 4G connection and equipped with 4 high-resolution cameras to inspect and clean the ship's surface. Depending on the ship's size, the cleaning process can take about 4 hours and must be repeated 8 to 16 times a year. Mermaid performers, the underwater beauties with hidden dangers. Being a mermaid performer is one of the most enchanting yet challenging jobs out there. These performers gracefully swim in aquariums, captivating audiences with their beauty and elegance. But what seems like a dream job comes with significant difficulties. Each 10-minute underwater performance requires the mermaids to hold their breath for 45 seconds to a minute at a time, diving to depths of 4 or 5 meters while smiling, blowing kisses, and performing flips for the audience. It's not just about looking graceful, it's physically exhausting, especially when they have to resurface to catch their breath and immediately dive again. Adding to the difficulty is the heavy, elaborate costume. The mermaid tail, often made from silicone, can weigh as much as 20 kilograms. Spending too much time underwater also leaves performers shivering uncontrollably once they exit the pool. However, the most dangerous part of this job came to light when Thompson Kay, a professional mermaid, nearly drowned during a performance. Her tail got caught on a piece of coral just as she was surfacing for air. In a quick-thinking move, she had to remove her tail costume to free herself and avoid drowning. And keep in mind, Kay is not just a performer. She's also a trained swimmer with a professional diving certificate. The silicone material used for the tails, while giving a sleek and realistic look, can be hazardous. In emergency situations, the performer needs to act fast to remove the tail and get to safety. Despite these risks, mermaids can earn between $100,000 and $120,000 a year, a decent reward for all the danger they face in the deep waters. If you think that's intense, wait until you hear about the next job, where playing with crocodiles could cost you your head. Putting your head into a crocodile's mouth. Imagine collaborating with one of nature's most dangerous predators, the crocodile, which could easily sever your head with a snap of its jaws. At the Samfren Elephant Ground Zoo, located on the outskirts of Bangkok, tourists witness some of the most daring performances in the world, playing with giant crocodiles. One performer, Somphop, skillfully places his hand into the crocodile's mouth and quickly retracts it just before the powerful jaws snap shut. If that isn't nerve-wracking enough, he takes it a step further by placing his head inside the croc's mouth. One wrong move and it's game over. Another dangerous job is wrestling with these swamp lords, which can earn you up to $60,000 per year. In southern Texas, alligator encounters are a frequent issue, as communities often live close to swamps. These reptiles can wander into backyards, under cars, or even onto golf courses and parking lots. When this happens, residents of Houston call Christy Kroboth, also known as the Alligator Girl. Despite weighing just over 45 kg, 100 daudios, Kroboth bravely jumps onto the back of gators weighing over 400 kg, 880 daudios, to subdue them. For smaller alligators stuck under a car, she charges around $100 to $200. For much larger ones, the fee can go up to $900. Over the course of a year, she catches around 150 gators, pocketing around $60,000. Now here's a question for you. Would you dare to do this job? Leave a yes or no in the comments. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. After watching, would you consider doing any of these dangerous jobs? Drop the name of the job you think you could handle in the comments below. Until next time, goodbye.